Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I was
Hi.
strolling through Kuching, Malaysia, looking for a local park and some grassy area where I can decompress my body from all the flying and just sitting in flights and uh, Uber cars. And so here I am just setting things up. I found a nice spot where I can ground my feet in some earth, taking a nice horse stance here. Sitting a bit deep. It's really good engagement for the glutes, opening of the hips, strengthening of the adductors. I'm sorry, the abductors, the inner thighs here. Sort of hands on the hips to be more mindful of the positioning of my pelvis.
Nice body.
Love a good side bend stretch, really opening up the lateral side of the body here, the obliques. I don't even know what to call it, but like the side of my hips sometimes gets tight. I'm sitting. Also reaching up to open the shoulders and reaching back. You'll always catch me rocking and bouncing to sort of get into the nooks and crannies of certain joints that need stretching. Here I'm doing a twist in the horse stance, nice spinal twist. Almost every time I can feel and hear my spine crack when I do this. Little breathing exercises with some Tai Chi movement just to calm the energy and also to channel and harness the chi. Reaching up nice and tall for a wide-legged mountain pose. And bringing the energy back down towards the core, gut, our center of energy, emotional body. Pull the slack out of my pants. It's nice to shift the weight into each side. Once again, just moving some chi as I shift into a high crescent lunge here with the right knee stacked over the right ankle, reaching up, pulling back, doing a back bend, and I reach across to the other side to really open up my left hip flexor to warrior two stance here into a hot style triangle pose, sort of lifting up out of the obliques, not fully sinking into my structures here. Inhale up for a reverse, what they call peaceful warrior, and into a low lunge here. Gets up to adjust the camera. Found it a little bit too close to really get the positioning of my feet in the angle in the frame. Also a nice cheat way to kind of catch my breath. Scrape some glass out the way so I can safely plant my feet back into the high crescent lunge. Really trying to target my hip flexors here because they seem pretty tight from just sitting on flights and planes and grab cars. Grab is the Asian version of Uber. And we hit a kind of a reverse twist here. And reaching up and back really gets into the left side of my hip here. Back into the warrior two, the hot style lunge into a high lunge, and a low lunge, and then low lunge reaching up out of the shoulders. Exploring all of the angles of my hips and shoulders. And reaching through. Really pressing my hips towards the ground here and bouncing into that. Once again, targeting the left hip flexor into a Cossack stretch, which is nice for the inner thigh, the abductors, and also the hip flexors. Back into a standing wide-legged adjusting the camera so you guys can see more of the angle of where my feet are and all that good stuff. Just telling the motorcycle guy to not hit my phone on the sidewalk. So back to this wide-legged stance here. Just feels nice. Slight little stretch on my inner thighs. Back into the horse squat. Shifting the weight to both sides, grounding through the heels, really getting the feet planted and finding my center of gravity. Oh, almost fell there. Found it. Down into the Cossack stretch. Keeping the arms out just to help with balance. Toe is pointed to the sky to stretch the calf and the hamstring. Nice twist, reaching up. And we come over to a low lunge. And low lunge reach and reach through. Bouncing a little bit, pressing the hips towards the ankle, towards the ground. Reaching up for a nice high crescent lunge. Engage the core here not to overstrain the lower back always. And reaching up, stretching through the right side of my body, getting the right hip flexor and the right shoulder externally rotated. Over into a warrior 2 lunge with the knee stacked directly over the ankle. Rolling shoulders back and down, reach forward and down, tick-tock into a hot style triangle here, reaching up out of the oblique muscles. And if it's accessible to you, you can wrap the arms around and through for a nice shoulder opener. Hand on the hip, reaching up for reverse warrior, peaceful warrior. Keep the knee bent here. Sink into that knee a little bit. Option to bring the hand behind the back and around into the lower back and shoulder stretching here. Back to warrior 2. And back to the low lunge. Back into the high crescent lunge. Now I'm into the warrior 1 with the back heel grounded, foot is at a 45-degree angle. Placing the hands on my hips to square my hips, pressing my right hip forward because you're going to tend to open that hip out to try to compensate for the lack of flexibility in the hip. But I need this hip stretch. Oh, my hip flexors are so tight. It feels so amazing. So that's why I'm there in it. Actually, I have to look down at my hip to see what it looks like to even be stretching that deep. And we come down into the Cossack stretch, sort of widen my stance a little bit so I can be grounded. The toe is in the air, twist into it. Move with your breath. Don't rush it. Reach up. And bring the hands back to your heart center. Come to your intention. Come to your breath. Always keeping the breath calm and soft. Not overexerting yourself. And we switch to the other side. So I'm in a warrior 1 here with the back heel grounded. Left foot is at a 45-degree angle. Hands on my hips to press the hips forward, keeping the knee stacked over the ankle, and also pressing that left hip forward more so I can actually square the hips towards the foot. That was me like, yeah, that was a good stretch. Feeling good. You'll catch me smiling a lot sometimes during my yoga flow. It's important to remind yourself to actually smile. Smiling tells you that you are happy and relaxed. I found a nice deep squat with an overhead reach, which kind of changes the leverage and makes it a bit harder, but helps to align your spine. Nice Malasana squat here, pressing the triceps into your knees to spread the hips open, knees open. I'm bouncing in it a little bit to sort of warm up the hip flexors. Finding my breath, closing your eyes. Just feel into it. There's that blissful smile like, this feels good. Yummy, as some of the yogis might say. And slowly straighten the legs. Do a little halfway lift here, fold again. And then I realized that I wanted to do some more folding from my spine. So I step up here. And we're going to do a Jefferson curl. Oh, not yet. I'm going to actually do just a standing back bend, arms overhead. Really try to be mindful here to engage my core as to not dump into my lower spine here. I have a bit of an immobile lower spine, and the rest of my spine isn't that mobile in general. Come down into a forward fold. And you can straighten the legs or slight bend in the knees. And I'm using the bench here to actually stretch and lengthen my spine as well as lengthen the hamstrings. And I'll bend my knees just slightly to sort of take some pressure off the hamstrings, a little bit of relief there. And now for this Jefferson curl, which is one of my favorite feeling movements. First, tuck the chin to the chest, move vertebrae by vertebrae, sort of rolling down very gently, very mindfully with the breath. Adjusting my stance here to be grounded on this bench. Curling the spine, rounding the back as you reach towards the ground. My legs are completely locked and straight here because I like the way that feels on my hammies. I grab the bench to really use that as leverage. Guys, you have no idea how far I've come. I used to not be able to touch my toes with straight legs. Now I'm sort of past my toes. So with each breath, I lengthen the spine. With each exhale, I actually go deeper into it. Come out of it the same way that you went into it, vertebrae by vertebrae. Feel each one. And finish with a couple shoulder rolls back. Very mindfully step down. And that was the end of the movement session. Thanks for watching, guys. I feel good, y'all. I got no reps in, but I needed the stretch, not the reps, to be honest. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, give me some comments, tell me if you'd like any improvements, any feedback. I'm totally open to it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share this with your friends. Be fruitful and keep moving, y'all. Keep playing.